Just let the man breathe and just hush so my mind could just cease, so my mind don't erupt. At times I feel I can't get enough, but I sip a double cup and I spin a couple bucks. Sending out some love to my blood, to my girl, to my buds, to the homie up above.
Fuck you, Steve from Bumble. Fuck you.
And hello, Bleeding Edge world out there in the great lands of YouTube. It is the Bleeding Edge here live, Friday night, 11/17, to discuss the movie District 9. That's right, people, District 9. So if you have not seen this film, highly recommend you check it out. It's a great sci-fi film. Came out in 2009. And also is the directorial debut of Neill Blomkamp, if you did not know that. He had done a lot of editing and CGI work for movies prior to this, but this was actually his directorial debut. So, coming out of the gate like that, being his first film, it was very impressive. I mean, he kicked the ass out of it with this film because this movie is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Not to mention that the style of the film being like a documentary makes it very interesting too. And I feel a lot of people would probably find that kind of boring, but I feel how they presented it, how he presented it, he did it really well, and it almost made it very much like kind of like a mockumentary style, I feel too, because he definitely was making a little bit of fun of documentaries too at the same time, besides it being kind of like that mock, that documentary style. So yeah,
it was like South African Cops.
Well, yeah, that's supposed to be Johannesburg. If you're not familiar with that, Johannesburg is a province over in Africa. That is pretty big. It's a pretty big, piece of land over in Africa that has a huge population. Is very well known, and I thought that was kind of interesting. They decided to use that as kind of their central station for the alien landing. I thought that was kind of interesting and different too, versus other movies I had seen up to that point for, say, alien origin type of films. So I think that was kind of unique too. I think they took their advantage of that because a lot of the actors that were in this were from South Africa. They were them too. Even the main actor in this, Charlotte Copley, this was his feature film first time. This was his first film he ever was in. Big film, anyways. He had done small stuff prior to this, but this was actually his feature film debut. And I tell you right at the gate, I love this guy. I thought he was just fantastic. I love this guy. I mean, you probably recognize him from like movies like A-Team, Hardcore Henry.
Elysium.
Yep, Elysium. He was in a whole bunch of those movies. And he's just a fantastic actor, I think. And I couldn't think of anybody better to lead this movie than he did. He was really fantastic.
No.
So yeah, so to kind of change things up with how we do these reviews a little bit, that we change it a little bit. Start off with a question. Basically, Sir Jeff, have you had seen this movie before, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So coming into it, ever since the last time you watched it, what were your thoughts on it after it had been a while since the last time you saw it? What were your thoughts on it?
I forgot how tight it was. Like you said, it's tight. Very tight. Right? For an hour and 50 minutes or whatever, runtime before credits or whatever it is, hour 45. They keep it tight. It's a tight hour 45. I mean, I haven't seen the Marvels yet. That'll be tomorrow. But I'd have to imagine that in contrast to the Marvels, it's not as tight. The Marvels probably isn't as tight as this film. From shot to shot, from scene to scene, this really flows. And I think you called it. I never thought about it before until before when I was watching the movie. But it must have been a great financial measure from a standpoint of saving money and whatnot on production. The way that they shot it in Johannesburg and whatnot, everything, right? Because really, when you think about it, everything is shot in District 9 for the most part, right? Or it's in the labs, whatnot, at the whatever the hell it's called, the corporation. There's very little actual in-city South Africa that you see. So I can't. I mean, well, I'm going to look at the budget in just a minute. And I'm not trying to say that they made the movie on the cheap because I know they didn't. But again, you said it was Blomkamp's first movie. I doubt that they handed him $200 million. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't look like a $200 movie.
No.
I mean, the spaceship only moves one time, right? There's no actual space faring, really. You know what I mean? And then the aliens, I think that's all actual non-digital. Is there any digital effect in that, do you think, or is that all old school costume effect?
The aliens are all digital.
They're digital? They are?
Yeah, the aliens are digital, yes.
Okay, that's probably, from a cost standpoint, probably a good move, too, because, I mean, they're all the same. They're the prawns. They all look the same. So, I mean, at that point, digitally, that probably makes things easier.
Yeah.
It probably costs more money.
There was some things that were practical effects, like, as you saw Charlotte Copley, or AKA Vicus, his transformation was all practical effects. There was no digital done on him. That was all practical effects. So there was certain things in the film that they did do practical effects on. Just with the aliens, it was easier just to do them all digital, for the fact that, I mean, you take one shape silhouette and then you just color change them for each character. So, that just seems a lot more interesting.
When I was looking through logos, I saw a couple of images of people with the dots from the green screens and whatnot, but I thought that was Copley. I wasn't really paying attention. I was just cycling through.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe that was Copley when he uses that suit, or that Gundam suit or whatever, whatnot, everything almost. That's fucking dope. No, Blomkamp killed it, man. I mean, I always knew he did. What's up, Andres?
Hello, everyone.
Did you get stuck in a wormhole in time, sir?
No, I was in a important meeting to eradicate these fumes, as you call it in the film. I actually have them in my dimension.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something about Angela Bassett again.
Hey, you brought her up. Yeah, she was there too. We had a nice chat. By the way, she doesn't like you, Jeff. So she say you're no one list of the wanted.
Whatever.
Yeah. The assassination will begin.
Somebody told me one time she should have won an Oscar for Wakanda Forever. I'm like, no, I don't think so. Anyways, no, Cyber. Really, I mean, for the most part, the only things I noticed that changed or that were different were the pace. I forgot how good the pacing was. And I think that probably has to do with all the film reviews we do, right? I just picked up from you and whatnot, everything, and from doing the reviews and whatnot, and from just the stuff I come across or things the guests say, right? I've learned more about cinema. I've learned more about cinematography. I pay attention to things more, like pace, than I ever used to. When you're watching a Marvel movie, you don't worry about pace, really, for the most part. I never really did until we started reviewing stuff. Then I started caring about the episodes of the TV shows, especially. I cared about how they flowed. You know what I'm talking about, because it's important. It's a little different than the movie. I mean, whatnot, right? You're not working with 2.5 hours or 2 hours. It's 45 minutes or 30 minutes, right? And so it's got to be it doesn't have to be seamless, but it has to flow, right? Throughout the episode, and then episodically, if it doesn't flow at all, like with Dead City, it just kind of kills things. It kills the vibe. You get almost either like lost or you get bored. And this movie never gets bored. Never gets boring. There's never like a boring part of the film at all, I don't think. Not one spot where you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Very true.
Then why would you? I mean, there's something that happens in almost every scene. There's something going on.
Yep. This movie is jam-packed. But I mean, it's pretty. The reason why it flows so well, though, you got to think about it this way, is that it is very simplistic.
Yeah,
no matter how you do it, it's very simplistic. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. You get your introduction to the characters. You get your basically your main character's kind of evolution, and then you get your ending. So I mean, it's pretty much. I feel they split it into 3 sections very well, and that's why it flowed so well. They had a very good set structure for what the film was. And I think that's what made this movie so successful, is that it was something different for an alien type of film.
Yeah.
It was the first time that we had aliens come down. They weren't trying to kill us, weren't trying to attack us. They got stuck here, and we turned them into basically like vermin. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it was definitely a social justice kind of like presentation to this film.
I'd have to do some deep diving or whatnot, or go look. I don't know what Blomkamp. I'm assuming his politics, being from Hollywood or being from wherever he's from. Is he from Canada?
No, he's from Johannesburg.
Okay, that's right. He's from Johannesburg. So I'm assuming he's probably on the left. Now I don't know if it's social justice or what. Who the hell knows? But there's definitely something going on. There's tones throughout the film that I picked up probably now in this watching more than ever, that are sort of not religious at all, not coming from that place, not like, you know what I mean. But who knows? There may be some sort of behind the curtain, white devil. You know what I'm saying? History, whatever type bullshit. Who the hell knows, right?
Yep.
Sometimes that shit can be in there and it can not even phase you.
Yep.
And like, it doesn't for me. You know what I'm saying? Whatnot, right? Like, that's why, like, remember, when we reviewed Tarantino, I respect the fact that he injects his politics into his films. Yeah, he doesn't do it in a overt way that's like right in your fucking face, right? That like takes away the entertainment of the movies and the shit he creates. I think he's even talked about that before.
Most certainly, he sure has. All right, thank you, sir. Time Cop.
Yep.
So have you watched this film before, sir?
Yes. I seen this film before. I see it in the channels of Stars. So it's been airing in the cable stuff for a long time, since 2009. I really enjoyed the film. I think it's one of the best science fiction films since
Angela Bassett. Because Angela Bassett is better than other movies. It's what kind of forever, and she should have got the Oscar.
We lost you there, I think, Andres.
Andres, are you in another time vortex? I'm telling you, man. That fucking 2066 Wi-Fi is rough.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Who knows what they're doing?
Maybe the second District 9 film already came out by then.
Maybe. All right. So to basically give kind of people an idea about the budget of this film. So this movie was made for $30 million in 2009.
Nice.
And so a lot of that money went towards the special effects, which of course would be a majority of the CGI in the film. And then because for the most part, most of the movie itself was a lot of practical effects, and they were able to do a lot in that small area they were using to film this film. So I thought that's pretty damn good for 2009 for that much of a big budget film like that was very CGI oriented. I was really impressed with that margin, but it ended up making $210.8 million in 2009, which is pretty good. That's a lot of bank on that $30 million. And for like an indie type of film, because this was definitely considered an indie film when it first came out. Even though it was a sci-fi film, it definitely was something that was not, really considered mainstream at the time, because Blomkamp hadn't directed anything yet. And, this film, being an alien sci-fi film, was more of sci-fi. They don't really, they make them mainstream sometimes, but they don't always do that. So this film definitely had that indie feel to it. So that's pretty impressive, I think, that it made $210.8 million, for being a first-time production by a director, and also your lead star being his first feature-length film. So I think that's pretty impressive. But yeah, I mean, Charlotte Copley, man, he is just amazing, and I think he held this movie so well, especially because all the other people he was dealing with, a lot of them were CGI characters, but then when he was interacting with the human element, it wasn't as it wasn't that bad. He they really worked with him and played really well. So I think that was a good testament of this movie too, is that this movie didn't rely on just the actors. It relied on the story. It relied on the looks of the film and by the actors. So it was a very full circle film, I feel, that worked really well together. So just to kind of start us off, so we'll split this up into 3 sections. So the movie starts off basically with introducing Vicus, played by Charlotte Copley. And of course, it starts off in documentary style, and he's there at his office, and he's explaining who he is, who he works for, which is MNU. And basically, he kind of gives you an idea what his name is, that he's married, and kind of what he does there at MNU. And basically, it proceeds down the way, giving you kind of an idea of what's going on. So this is supposedly before where Vicus is right at the moment, actually. And we get kind of the rundown of when the aliens landed, which was 1982, which I think is hilarious. They decided to pick that year. And the ship just came down. It stopped there. It didn't crash. It just was hovering there. And a piece of it fell off, but they're not sure what it was. And that's when these aliens arrived, which they're calling the prawns. And basically, current times is supposed to be like 2009 in Johannesburg, South Africa. And, we get that little bit of history, and then we have a few different people coming on, kind of explaining what's going on, giving us kind of a rundown of the history, and kind of like, them giving their thoughts on Vicus too as well, because Vicus has become kind of like a kind of the person of interest at this moment, because he's vanished after all this craziness went down with the aliens and the ship leaving. And so basically we have kind of that, like, it was probably like the first, I would say, like 15 to 20 minutes, we have all that stuff going on. And then we kind of get more in depth with Vicus as he's being promoted basically to becoming the manager of this expedition to evict the prawns, because decided that after all the all this crap is going on in District 9, the aliens are basically like selling arms and are doing all kinds of criminal businesses, and then there's underground of these humans that live there too, that are selling guns and selling stuff to the prawns and stuff like that, that they need to basically move it away, farther away from the city, to protect the humans and to protect the aliens. So basically they come up with this idea of evicting all the prawns and moving them to a new district, which will become District 10. And so awesome. And so basically he becomes, they make him the head of this, which in my personal opinion, while I was watching that, even the first time around, I was like, I feel they're trying to frame him here, like that he is that he like basically is kind of like, they're like making him the guinea pig of this whole thing if anything goes wrong. And that's the kind of feeling I get, especially because with Vicus, him and his like kind of like trio of friends there that are helping him do this thing. Like they're all kind of like, they're kind of in the know, but they're not really in the know, as they show. And so basically, after he gets kind of this promotion, his father-in-law is kind of looking more up to him and kind of nicer to him and stuff like that. He basically starts to get starts coming up with a plan of how to do this, and they basically make their way to District 9. So we'll kind of consider that kind of the first section of the film. And before we get more into that, let's talk about a little bit of that section. What is your thoughts on that section of the film, Jeff? Basically leading up to them entering District 9 with all the troops, and Vicus showing up to start evicting people, the prawns. What was your thought of that beginning section, like the intro, basically introducing Vicus and his family, introducing some of the other characters that basically those kind of interviewers and, learning about the alien history? What was your thoughts on that section?
Coming back off of your first question and bringing it into play now too, the use of the secondary characters is outstanding. They obviously did not spend a lot of money on the cast, right? Which is, I'm not saying that as any kind of like as if that's an issue. I think it's good for the film, right? I mean, they kept it under 30 million or at 30 million, so they didn't break the bank on casting. Obviously, they did a lot of the casting, like you said, among South Africans, which they all did a great job. And I like their accents too. They remind me of Australians a little bit. Their slang. It's just not as I don't know what the word is, but it's a little it's not as twangy as the Aussie ones. It's a little bit more refined, almost like more British. What a surprise, right? Colonialism, baby. Anyways, no, but no, I know. No, he might. Well, actually, you know what? Now that he went through the time vortex, cyber, he's in the year 2077 back with President John Claude again, possibly, and Angela Bassett. Angela's VP. But anyways, no, they do a great job with the secondary characters. You're never gonna remember their names, right? At the end of the movie, really, like I can't remember their names, right? And that's okay. You don't have to, right? Like I couldn't remember the names of the secondary characters from Dead City because they sucked. You know what I'm saying? They were terrible. That's why. In this movie, it's because you don't hear them vocalize the names. It's that simple. There's not a lot of dialogue where by name they're called. It's only with Copley's, Victus, that you hear his name said a lot, and that's because of his wife and his family and because of what happens to him, right? Other than that, nobody else is. And then he's also the only one that uses the names a lot in the film, which I think Blomkamp purposely did that, right? And only had him be the one character that actually addresses people a lot. You see him address Christopher Johnson, the prom, right? Who is what? Is he sort of like the quasi leader of what's left of their civilization that ended up crashed?
I don't think he's anything specific. I think he just he might have been a scientist on their planet or something. That's what my feeling was. Like he's like a scientist of some sort, but he was just trying to figure out a way to get home. Is basically what he was doing. Yeah,
he was the one that somehow managed to be like with it enough or whatnot, everything, or had the wherewithal. Right? You're probably right. He probably was an alien scientist. That's actually a great call, Cyber. He probably was a scientist of some kind or some kind of engineer or something like that, right? He had that whole lab set up and whatnot, everything that we're going to talk about that, that we see, which obviously probably, I'm assuming that's where that goo probably came from the lab. Basically, like you said, I love the documentary style deal. Great. Blomkamp really did a great job with that, adding that layer because it never stops. Right, it's there throughout the whole film from beginning to end. Right, we start with it, we end with it. You know what I mean? It sort of, and then on top of that, they layer in the news, just like other films, just like DC animated. Right, they do a great job. Sometimes you could do an okay job with that, or it's just there, or you could really do a great job with using the newspaper or using the Jonah Jameson character types shit. Right. News type stuff and whatnot, where it really actually adds something to the story, just like a different element, something with some flair, some flash, some context or some layering. They do a great job with that. What would you call that? Almost like expanding the story, or the theme, right? Just with different mouthpieces or different vehicles, right, to carry on the story, narrate it almost.
Yeah, it's expansion.
Yeah, most definitely. And no, I love the prawns. I love what they came up with in terms of designing how they look digitally. They did a great job with that. Now that I know it was all digital, and that makes total sense too. I can't imagine how much it would have cost just from a labor standpoint to create the costumes for that many fucking people, that many actors, and then have to put them in them, right? I'd have to imagine that if they did live action, it probably would slow down production, right? It would take longer to shoot the film.
Well, let me put it in perspective for you. Charlotte Copley, for the small aesthetics he had to wear and the different sequences, from getting the arm to then it starting to make his body change more, and then, a little further along progression, that took anywhere from 45 minutes to 5 hours to apply. So imagine doing that to like 100 extras. That would just put down production really a lot. So yeah, it was easier to do CGI.
Oh yeah, then plus the materials, everything, the material costs, right? All the makeup, right? And then you have to pay the makeup artist. What's up, J-Rat?
What's up?
Did you have a good nap, buddy?
Dude, I got home and I just saw the bed, went straight to it, and was it.
I guess I noticed you didn't put your makeup on.
Oh yeah, I'm ugly without makeup.
No, you look good, J-Rat. You're good. You probably look worse with makeup, bro. We all would, personally. Although I don't know about Time Cop, you might look good with makeup. I'm not sure.
Excuse me, I'm a man. What's going on here?
In the year 2077, the men wear makeup, right?
No, you're going up to my list, sir.
Okay. Oh, okay. You're like Krampus. You put me on the Krampus list. I like your T-shirt too, J-Rat. It's cool.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome, brother. It reminds me of Ahsoka for some reason. Like the space, the whole space thing or whatever, whatnot, kind of.
It's a video game shirt.
Oh, it's dope. But no, so honestly, just to wrap up, and I'll let these guys get in here. Basically, the introduction, I love how it just sticks with the pace of the compactness and tightness of the film, right from jump, and then they stick with it, right? It never really expands that heavily, right, or really blows up, whatnot, right? They keep it very consistent. You stay in kind of the same parameters. There's not a lot of geographical change. No big time gaps or long distance traveling or anything like that and whatnot. Again, you can see how, basically, oh, you're good, J-Rat. Blomkamp, he got like his money out of every penny, baby, in this film. He really did, man, for that 30 million. He must have. I'd love to have been able to like be a fly on the wall and been able to see an actual, some documentation of what cost what in this film, right? That'd be dope. I know it sounds nerdy, but I'd love to see the breakdown of what cost what, right? Like what costs more money than what in this film. Compared to what did the cast cost compared to the digital effects, for instance, right? Like what did Copley make for the film? He probably made like $20,000, man.
Yeah. Well, the thing about District 9 is like he got the best people behind it by the Lord of the Rings team. Of course, Peter Jackson produced this film because they were supposed to do the Halo movie before this District 9 thing became a thing. So that's the thing. It's very fascinating. If you pay attention to like the weapons, you can tell like it's very Halo like in terms of their design. And I know this movie is based on the short film that Neill Blomkamp did like before the movie was made.
Thank you, Time Cop. Here, I'll just throw over to you. If Cyber, if you want to go ahead and throw the question out for them.
Yes, thank you. Moderator here. Yeah. Anyways, Adderall boy. So yeah, guys, we're talking about the beginning of the film. Basically from the introduction of Vicus, played by Charlotte Copley, leading up to before they enter the District 9 to start evicting the prawns. Basically that little section of the film. So I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on that. Once we do that, then we'll play the trailers for you guys to get you reinvigorated for this District 9 review, guys, okay?
I find it transphobic when you use that word prawns.
Okay, good. Anyways, J-Rat, Your thoughts on the beginning of the film, sir, leading up to them going into District 9 to start the eviction process?
I was always a big fan of the way they set up the film, like just from the like the interview stance of him, talking to the camera in the movie. I I really like that. District 9 has always been a really favorite of mine. Um, the acting is excellent. His character is excellent. I think the sequence of how they give us the story from they start from the beginning perfectly up until that spot, and I think they did a good job.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Sir Andres, same question, sir.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's very unique about District 9 that a lot of people know of is this kind of documentarity kind of feel to it, which is really neat. And I mean, I think you guys talked about that probably in the show, but just bring that up, is a very important thing because it gives the film very like you're actually in the world for real, and that this could actually happen for real, but in a very science fiction way. I just dug that kind of style that Neill Blomkamp and the team did because it really gives in that you're like following these like actual people of like servitude to this high government, fiction and all that, and like it's so believable. And of course, the actor that plays the titular character for District 9, he's great. I mean, he's a fun character. I mean, I first saw him in a very underrated action film, A-Team, where he plays one of the members there, and he was funny, and my dad loved him.
Oh, I forgot about that. He was dope in fucking A-Team.
Yeah, he was. It was so funny, and he's great in this movie. I mean, he put his soul into this role, and like he really sells this like very meek, like servitude kind of employee. And I think this opening really sets up everything, and it gets everything done right, like how these prawns came to the earth and all that in such a simple way. And I really thought that. So yeah, this opening is great. I'm excited to talk about the fiction. Like, I mean, oh my god, this fantastic film.
Excellent. Thank you, sirs. All right. So, Jeff, you have the trailers ready, sir?
I do, sir.
So, yeah, like I said, we'll drop these trailers for you guys, show you a little bit of what we're talking about, and get you invigorated before we move on.
Having things right there and ready and whatnot is different in the time cop dimension and whatnot. The time's different, so you gotta take that into consideration.
First off, you're not in the time dimension right now, Jeff. My time dimension works differently. So
Yeah, we got the other one. Wow, that was a quick trailer.
Yep. Oh, this interesting note. I think this movie came out during my birthday, which was funny.
Oh, I didn't know there were birthdays in the time cop dimension. Good to know.
Oh yeah. A lot of birthdays.
I thought you'd evolve beyond that.
Nope. But
All right. There we go, guys. There's a couple trailers for you. Very short trailers that you can see there. And yeah, it was very interesting what limited they showed in those trailers too. I mean, it gave you a little bit of an idea of kind of what was going on, especially that second one. But definitely, I think, yeah, I think that it was very short trailers, not much there. So that's nice because going into movies, a lot of people, that's one of the complaints I've heard recent last like 3 or 4 years, maybe 5. The trailer gives away too much, and I feel that one did not give away enough. So I definitely think those are some decent trailers. I have to agree. What were your guys' thoughts on the trailers? What did you think, Andres?
I disagree with Jeff. I mean, the trailers definitely conveyed what kind of movie you're watching. Like, I mean, the movie is like RoboCop. If you think about it, like it's very like fast paced. Like it jam packs everything in the film. Social commentary, very like heavy gore / action. Simultaneously, So I think these trailers conveyed that very well. And you know, you don't know what's going on. Like the fact that these two trailers, well, I think the second trailer may show a little bit of like, you know, the main character transforming to one of these things, but like you don't see it in these trailers, which is good. So that's the part probably people didn't expect that it was a body horror, basically. But yeah, these two trailers are good. They're awesome.
Excellent. Thank you. J-Rat, same question, sir. What did you think of the trailers?
I loved it. They you're right. They don't give you a lot of information about what the I guess the plot of the movie is, but they get you interested. They basically let you know about, you know, there's a alien ship that's there. We know there's some type of conflict. They give us the, you know, like they don't want them there. They give us a glimpse of the aliens. You know, we see bits and pieces of the movie without getting the actual plot of the movie. And when I first saw the trailers, what was that? 14 years ago?
Yep.
I was stoked. For me, I'm a sci-fi guy. So anything that has to do with outer space, aliens, I mean, if the trailer is halfway decent, I'm all in. So when I saw those trailers, I was like, all right, hell yeah, let's go see this. And I saw that one in the theaters. I really enjoyed it.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Jeff, same question, sir. What did you think of the trailers?
I mean, they're good trailers. The first one was really short. It just kind of surprised me how short it was. That's all it was, just surprised. I was expecting them to go like drop another 30 seconds or a minute to the trailer, and then it just stopped. So it kind of surprised me. I guess that must have been the teaser one, that the first one, maybe, but or maybe the second one is a teaser. But either way, no, it's not that it doesn't align with the film. It's that it really, 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 really like separates itself from conveying the vibe of the film, the pace of the film, right? Like it's not. That's my point. With other films, you know, you could get a sense of the energy of the film off the trailers and whatnot. With this one, you can't at all, right? You have to watch the movie to see. Like you never know there's humor in this movie based off those trailers, but there is, right? It's just dark, right? And like some of it is almost rooted in racism and like, you know, degradation and like, you know what I'm saying? And like, I mean, pick your fucking poison, pick your word, right? The prawns are treated like fucking, like animals, like fucking less than that, right? They're less than human. Yet they don't seem to be like really upset about it. Right, like they're obviously a peacekeeping species. They're not right. Like they're not like us at all. They don't have that sort of mentality. They're not conquerors at all. They didn't come to Earth to conquer. Right? They didn't come with their weapons to fucking fight. You know what I mean? Like so, obviously, like you know, they're not like a warring race, or else maybe they evolved beyond it. Like and you know, in the time comic dimension.
Well, they didn't give us any of that information on the trailer.
No, well, I mean, if they ever make the second damn movie or whatever, whatnot, everything, we might get some more lore and they might fill in some cracks. But I don't think it's even going to happen now at this point.
It won't. I mean, it maybe. I mean, it should.
Not too long.
It's been really too long.
District 9 is not the kind of movie where after 15 years you make another film. You know, sci-fi isn't really the genre for that. You know what I mean? It really isn't. You know. For me, I don't think Cyber, you know, or Andres, J-Rat, you could opine on that yourselves. I don't historically maybe it has happened, but sci-fi to me doesn't seem like the kind of genre where, right? Maybe Ghostbusters, you know, like would be like an example, but that's different. You know what I mean?
If they ever did a sequel movie, I don't think it would make sense to call it District 10. I mean, it could just be a movie with a whole different title, like its own separate movie. So like people who've never seen District 9 would go see this movie called, Forgotten Land or whatever, you know, that has no direct tie-in name. District 10, you know, that would be the most obvious, the name for it. There are certain sequel movies that have different title names, but like if you were to see this movie like Forgotten Lands, you'd be like, this is actually a sequel to another movie, but you don't have to see the prequel or the first movie to understand the second movie.
That's a good point, Jared. The title of movie is important, right? I don't mention that, or I don't think I've ever talked about that. I really thought deeply that much about it until right now. And of course, I have offhand, but like the title of a film is important. It really is. It's very, very valuable, very important.
It would just have to be its own movie at this point in time. You know what I mean?
No.
For someone who sees it new.
No, I mean, and after we get done with the review, I'll probably go look real quick and whatnot. Everything and see what's in the news for, from years ago about what was the last info we got about why they didn't make the film. But like, it's just funny to me. It's surprising just because it did so well financially off the budget, box office wise. Over 200 million worldwide off 30 billion is that those are good numbers. So you think that most studios would want to make another film, right? Especially in that time period, you know what I mean, and whatnot. Like, that was now you're seeing the studios kind of shy away from, remaking shit over and over again, right? Like you're seeing that stopping now. More original films are coming out again and whatnot, right? Like you're seeing more original stories. For a while there, it was like all you saw was let's bring that back, right? Let's redo that, and it got kind of stale there for a minute. And I think that's one of the reasons why, and I'll stop there. That's one of the, like Cyber mentioned, before you guys came on, this film was very unique. And it's very overlooked. I mean, Blomkamp obviously has been rewarded off of it. I mean, look, he got to direct Dune. Dune 2 is something to look forward to, I believe.
He's not doing Dune 2. That's a different director.
Oh, that's not Blomkamp. That's what's his name?
Villeneuve. That's his name.
Villeneuve. Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't know why I mixed them up. Are they from the same region?
No, he's Canadian. Villeneuve.
That's who's Canadian. Yes. Okay. Yeah. There we go. That's right. That came from earlier.
French Canadian.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. French. Yes. And then Blomkamp is from Johannesburg. He's South African.
Hey, Canadian's Canadian, man. Whatever, man. I'm in their fucking kangaroo courts and shit and whatnot, and fucking sending them all these things, meth pipes and crack pipes every month for free. Fucking lunatics. Anyways, good for you, Canada. Have at it. Enjoy your hockey. Have fun with the snow. But anyways, it's the trailers. I think that they're solid for what they were. Again, they probably didn't spend a lot of money on them. Again, you got to watch this movie to really get the full concept and picture of what you're dealing with this movie. These trailers can never leverage or convey how good this fucking movie is. That's all.
Thank you. Excellent. All right. So to give you a little bit more information on the film, folks out there in the Great Lands, like we were saying, this was filmed in Johannesburg. During the months of June through July. Took 60 days to shoot. And the actual location they used was Chiowelo and Soweto in Johannesburg, which is a subdivision of it. And at the time they were filming this, there was actually a violent unrest going on in Alexandria over there. So they were actually having to move their locations a couple times while that was going on. That's why they ended up in Soweto and Chiowelo, because that was far enough away that they didn't have to worry about that conflict while they're filming. Originally, Blomkamp wanted to film this in the wintertime because he wanted to look very much like a post-apocalyptic world. And so, unfortunately, because at the time during the winter season, it just made it too hard it was too wet and too rainy. They had to do it through June through July. So they ended up having to cut down a whole bunch of green foliage and stuff like that to give it the more desolate and dark look that it had. This also was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, if you didn't know that, which I did not know that until I looked it up. But yeah, it actually was nominated for Best Picture, Best Writing.
No shit.
Best Writing and Adapted Screenplay, Best Achievement in Film Editing, and Best Achievement in Visual Effects. It didn't win any of the Academy Awards, I don't think, which shows, no, it did not.
Who cares? Ed only got nominated for Best Picture. God damn.
And but it still won like a whole bunch of other allocates from like other award ceremonies, British Academies, National Board Review, and stuff like that. But still, that's pretty impressive for first time feature film. Neill Blomkamp, his film becoming a Academy Award nominated film, which I think is amazing. But there's a little more information for you guys there, so you guys know. Anyway, so like I said, this movie is like broken up into 3 parts. Basically, your introduction to the characters, the unrest of what happens, and then kind of the end of the film. So we're going into the second part of the film. So we have just gotten to District 9 itself. Vicus, aka Charlotte Copley, and his group from MNU have arrived at District 9 where all the prawns live. And so basically, like was mentioned earlier, they have decided to get rid of District 9, move the prawns farther away from the city so they have less of all this crap that's going on in District 9. Because there's a whole bunch of like illegal things going on in District 9, such as, there's humans that are living there and selling bootleg products and body parts and all kinds of stuff like that. We got, gun running and drugs and all that kind of stuff going on. And even the prawns, so the prawns are even doing that too. They're like selling illegal products and stuff like that. So they figure if we move them farther enough away, basically give them a whole new area, that it would be better for the humans. So they decide they're going to go evict all these people. So basically, as we progress there, Vicus and his group of MNU people start going to different houses and giving them their eviction notices. We get kind of a lot of funny kind of sequences there with some of the alien prawns, kind of like them asking questions. And I think it's funny that they, the dialect they decided to go with for how the aliens sound, I think was really done well. And I think sometimes when they say certain things, you just kind of crack up. And so we so basically, like, we get kind of that footage there of them doing going house to house and stuff like that. And while this is going on, we end up coming across this particular prawn who is out searching for something. And as he's searching, he's looking for alien technology, because out of the alien technology, there is a liquid that he needs that will help refuel the pod that he wants to take up back to the ship so they can get back home. And so he tells his friend to be looking for alien parts, not for human items. And so as they're looking, we find out that the one prawn has a son, and that, he wants to get his son off the earth and get back to their planet and stuff like that. And so they end up making their way back. They do find a piece of alien technology which has more of that fluid in it, which is like a black looking substance, almost like I would say, to me, it looks just like a squid or a octopus's black ink that they shoot out when they're defending themselves. That's what it looks like to me, or just ink in itself. And so they find it has a vial in there, and like, oh, this will help fuel the thing. And they go back to where he has a lab, and he pours some down. And he's like, this is enough to fuel it. Like, woohoo! We just need a little bit more, kind of deal. And so basically, the MNU people are starting to make their way towards their houses. And then the one prawn tells his friend prawn, I got to get out of here, but you stay here and be nice, and you go out and talk to him and stuff like that. And, you got to hide this for me, hide this stuff so that we can come back to it. And so that prawn ends up hiding it, but kind of in a non-inconspicuous place, which is very easy to find, as we see a little bit in a moment. And so basically he goes out, the other prawn and his son make their way away, and they interact with Vicus. And Vicus, basically says, I have an eviction notice for you. And the alien's like, why am I being evicted? And, they start to kind of have like kind of a confrontation. They start, getting upset and stuff like that. And basically they end up, Vicus ends up going into the place looking for illegal things. And as he's searching through things, he all of a sudden comes across the vial. And as he's looking at it and messing with it, it opens up and sprays some into his mouth and all over his face. And he's like, oh, and starts coughing and stuff like that. And So he's like, what the, he's like, oh, what the hell, And so then he like grabs the plastic bag, puts it in the plastic bag so that they can contain it. And that, this is a dangerous substance, but, we don't know what it is. But at the same time, it's not really dangerous, but we got to make sure we have this contained. He's like, and so after he goes out and basically they have more of a conversation with that same prawn. And they end up getting into a fight in it. They end up killing him. And so after that, basically, that's when we make our way to the other prawn with the son's house. And we kind of have like a brief time, like they're cleaning up Vicus a little bit, and he's not too worried about it because he's all cleaned up and stuff like that. But he's like, that was weird. And when they make their way to a few more houses, at one point, he ends up getting sick and ends up throwing up outside. And he's like, stuff like that. And so then they, like I said, they make it to that prawn's house with the son. And basically they have a conversation with this guy, saying, we got to search your place. You're evicted. And he's like, he says the same thing. Why am I evicted? I don't agree with that, blah, 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 stuff like that. And basically they end up threatening to take the child and stuff like that. And basically they end up kind of like having a fight and basically kind of getting out of hand type of deal. So basically after that, after that whole conversation and stuff like that, the one prawn, which I believe is named
Christopher.
Christopher Robbins.
Yeah, which is hilarious that they named him that. Oh, no, it's Christopher Johnson.
Johnson, not Robinson, doofus.
And Christopher Robin, Jesus Christ. He ends up escaping with his son, and basically, Vicus is like, I need to eat something, to feel, that I'm not feeling too well. I need to, basically eat something. He's like, okay. So they stop and he gets some food, and as he's eating some food, all of a sudden some black liquid starts to leak from his nose, and he's like, oh, and like, what's going on? And so, basically, after that, that's, when they get into another confrontation with more prawns, he ends up getting injured. He gets smacked really hard, and basically ends up getting his arm hurt, so he has to go to the hospital and get, have a cast put on and stuff like that. And basically, this is kind of where, all of a sudden we start seeing Vicus have some issues that start to appear more after even the black bloody nose. So basically, once that section of the film starts to happen, we quickly, basically, he starts to evolve, and we get that great scene after he starts to look more ill, and he goes home and they're having a party for him, and basically he is meeting everyone. He's like cutting cake, and all of a sudden he has to go to the bathroom and he's puking, and then he goes back out and he pukes over the cake, and then all of a sudden he passes out on top of the cake. So they send him to the hospital. So before we get to that section of the film, let's stop there. So what are your guys' thoughts kind of like on the whole eviction section of the film, dealing with those prawns, being introduced to Christopher Johnson, the prawn, and his son? What were your thoughts on the, basically Vicus coming in contact with the liquid and starting to have issues? And what did you think about that whole section, like the look and the feel and the CGI and all that kind of stuff? What were you guys' thoughts? Starting with you, Jeff.
As I was saying in the private chat, I think that cat food is probably definitely better than jail food. It's got to be. They should add it to the menu and put it in the rotation. It's cheap too. It's got to be better than those fucking jail sandwiches, man. With fucking you want to talk about mystery meat, bro? Holy fuck. Jesus Christ. There's a whole new definition of it there. But anyways, but the lifers love that shit, man. It's like the best thing ever to them. But whatever. I think that it's like you said, it's the story can only be as compact as it is, and it can only have the pace it does because of the way that Blomkamp segments the film, right? Sort of like how you did with your outline, the 3 segments and whatnot, everything, he kept the story very tight. And you know, the like the secondary characters don't have arcs, right? There's only one character that has an arc in this film. That's it. No other character does, right? And again, like that's unique. You know, like I'm not capable of like of judging who should fucking be nominated for Best Picture. I'm not like knowledgeable enough to know that kind of stuff. I wouldn't feel comfortable being responsible to be put in that position, right? That's why I was surprised. I didn't realize that it was that well received and it got accolades like that and whatnot. It's a great film. Don't get me wrong. I can't remember everything that came out against it, what its competition was, right? But still, as far as the merit goes, I understand it. I do. It makes sense to me, right? You know, it's obvious that Blomkamp killed it with this film, but you know, it's interesting because it's almost like it's like film school 101, how to make a movie, right? Almost in front of you in this film. You know, how to fucking like, you know, knock one out fucking like the right way and shit and whatnot. Keep it tight and like, you know, stick to your shit, right? And you know, cross your you know, dot your I's and cross your T's and shit and whatnot, everything. And you know, obviously, they didn't spare expense on detail, right? Like nothing looks shitty, nothing looks sloppy, nothing looks cheap, right? But again, everything is shot in District 9. It's all broke down and shit. It's slums. You know, it's fucking disgusting. Right? Like, just cat food everywhere and shit and whatnot. Weird meat. It's all weird meat and shit everywhere. You know? You got people eating the fucking prawns by the second segment. That shit's crazy. All the elements they induce in and bring in are insane. Like they're crazy, man. This is a very unique sci-fi film. It really is. Maybe that's why they didn't make another one. Because he just can't. Maybe Blomkamp just couldn't write one. Right? Who knows? It's probably hard to follow up something like this. Cyber, right? I mean, it can't be easy. You know, like The Godfather 2. That's a little bit different kind of film. You don't, you know, you got something to work with there. Then you throw Robert De Niro in the mix. You know, like you'd be breaking the formula with District 9 if you did District 10 and all of a sudden you paid Tom Cruise to come in. How much that wouldn't make sense with the film. It wouldn't make sense with the energy I would feel would be affected by that type of decision or action, if that makes sense, I guess, or whatnot. I don't mean to be long-winded, but this is a really good movie. It makes you think. The second act is great because it really adds a lot of context. And it widens the small story, right? The small universe that we get, right, to work with in terms of our main character. You know, Victor. Is it Vickers? Not Vickers. How do you
Wilkes?
Okay.
Yeah, Wilkes.
Okay, Wilkes. Van der Merwe, or whatever. Either way, Sheridan Copley's character, when they expand his universe a little bit and whatnot, that really adds more context to him as a person, as a man. And I think that for me, you need that, right? Because that's what for me provides later on, at least on his end, on the human end, some of the stuff that's really sad, right? And like everything and whatnot. Like I said in the private chat how some of this shit here is funny to me. Right, and some people might look at it like me laughing at some of the stuff that I laughed at during the film and call me names or whatever, or think there's something going on with me. But fuck, I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? There's funny shit in there. That scene where fucking it's in the second segment where you see fucking the dude fucking the prawn in the news is utterly fucking hilarious. I fell out when I saw that shit. Like, I'm sorry, but I did. I mean, how do you not? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? Like, seriously? I wish you could have got that shit like on a shot so I could pull it up right now. That would be dope.
I don't think that's what happened like that. No.
No, but it's funny as fuck though. And then when he says, Cyber, when he says to his wife, I didn't have erotic relations or whatever, whatnot, with a fucking creature or whatever, whatnot. This shit's hilarious, dude. But at the same time, it's painful. You know what I'm saying? With that, right? And that's what makes the movie so deep, is that it's a fucking sci-fi film that has these emotional layers, right? And again, I don't know what the political fucking point is with all this shit, or where this goes to with Blomkamp in his own head, and what he's trying to tie this to. Whatever, doesn't matter to me. It's entertaining, and it makes you feel different shit deeply, and that's why I think it got nominated for Best Picture. Because only certain movies are that good that they can elicit that kind of diversity in terms of how you feel during a film, right? Sad, laughing, impressed, entertained by the action, like the pace and the dialogue. There's something humorous and about the documentary style shooting, and him. Right, when he's doing the evictions and shit and whatnot, everything, just the way he's talking and going about it, it's funny to me. His whole candor and disposition, it's funny. It really is, until he gets hit with the fucking juice, right? And then everything just changes. It goes into a whole totally different place because he's scared, right? And you can see it, and he's scared. And the pace of the movie changes with him. It flows with him almost. There's almost like a shared heartbeat. So it's deep, man. It really is. The actor Copley killed it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, he held it down. And the second segment really added the meat that you needed and whatnot, and that connective tissue, a little bit of it at least, to where you could like feel more towards him as a character while he's doing things like banging prawns and shit and whatnot, and all that, right? Eating cat food. But I mean, no, when he lays down and picks up that garbage and sleeps with it and shit and whatnot, that shit is fucking heartbreaking, man. Imagine that shit, bro. Being on the streets and having to pull up garbage to sleep. I thought about that, dude. That sucks. It's depressing to think about that. Either way, bottom line, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to get all deep. I'm not trying to go Dr. Phil on shit, J-Rat. I'm sorry, brother.
Okay, man. You think, dude?
I'll cry in the studio after the show.
Get it all out.
Right, the boys.
Okay, thank you, Andreas. Same question.
Well, after monologue man there, keep it sweet and simple.
Hey, Andres, like you said before, fuck you, bruh.
Well, wow. Well, fuck
there you go.
As well. So.
Oh, I just wanted you to say it because every time you do, you know how our ratings spike. So, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Good. Anyway, I think this movie should have a lot of reviews and people to watch. Anyway. Yeah, so this section I really dug. I mean, first up, the special effects by Weta Digital is fantastic. I mean, they use all the tricks in the box that they did with the Lord of the Rings, motion capture, made, costumes in location if possible, all that is just wonderful. And it's like very seamless. I mean, like, yeah, this is 14, 15 years ago, special effects were so good. Back then, like the first Iron Man film and this is just, it looked so great still today. So yeah, I really dug the designs that the way the digital did. And one thing people don't talk about is also the human like weapons and the gadgets they have. Like, it's really cool. Like, those guns are like literally video game guns that I want in real life. And I think the production design is just wonderful here. I think it was good that it's in this kind of summery, like this summer kind of apocalypse kind of feel, because it has that like Mad Max kind of feel to it, because if it was like raining all that time, it'd be too similar to Blade Runner for me, or something like that. I think that it really works. I think here this is where the movie really shines. I mean, we got funny things, seeing the prom, peeing outside, and of course them being savage. No one talks about the character Christopher. I think the character Christopher is wonderful, and he's definitely the smart creature out of the bunch. I will say his friend was very stupid. Like the fact that, play nice, talk to them, but at the same time, it's like they have weapons. They were hiding in this house, and so like it was inevitable. But he could hide that fluid so much better, as Cyber say. It's like could you just put it, I don't know, like in a very security lock or something like that, before they find it. The main character find it before. But yeah, the how you say it, the body horror of I say Wicca. That's his name, Wicca, or I cannot say his name now.
Wickes.
Vicus.
Wickes, yeah, Wickes is very body horror, like very Cronenberg. Like I really dug that kind of slow, like transformation to this, prawn alien, and just the way the actor does it, it's just so incredible. Like you could tell he's like feeling ill and all that. I don't know why you just go to the hospital first. Like, come on, like you were sick, like you're losing your finger, just like Brendel from The Fly, and then well, no, not the teeth yet, but it was very gross to see his like fingertips. Like I'm buying to be when Brendel did that in his bathroom in The Fly in the 1986 film. But yeah, so yeah, and then the party. Speaking of his wife, I the wife's father, such a douchebag, so awful. Like he pulled him over the side to complain about his efforts today because he got the promotion and he's handling the whole thing, and wait a minute, he is a bad guy, and I'm like, I hope he did die during that explosion later in the film, but we'll discuss that later. But anyway, so yeah, overall, I really like this sequence. When we get to the reveal of his hand, like when the first time I saw that, I was like, whoa, didn't expect that. So, but yeah, everything else is just top notch. The storytelling is so clear, precise. That's something that I have a problem with Neill Blomkamp is layer films. They like sometimes over explain it, or they don't explain too much of their world. Here is like so precise, and like I understand what's going on in the world by these documentary interviews and a montage of what's going on during District 9 and all that. So it's really good.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. And yes, shout out to Raymond from Booze and Chill. Welcome to the comment section, sir. Yes, aliens are into butt stuff. We're always talking about that, the anal probe. So yeah, you are correct, sir. You are very correct.
I think that's a stereotype and very transphobic, personally.
You say so. And he of course says salutations to Lord of Time.
Yes.
Which is of course what Andres is trying to be, but he is not. He will never be Doctor Who. 100% he will not be Doctor Who. He is Time Cop, and he always will be.
No. Raymond, thank you so much. You're my best friend. We should hang out more. Let's join together to defeat these two.
Raymond from Booze and Chill is trying to bolt fucking Time Cop over the wall and shit and whatnot. Everything, and I'm like, nah. Me and Simon are like, nope.
No. Keep doing this, buddy. I'm happy now.
It's a good thing January 2000's here to monitor shit and whatnot. Fucking Time Cop, slipping dimensions in time and shit, motherfucker.
As always. All right.
And shit.
All right, J-Rat. Same question, sir. Your thoughts?
Refresh me on the question. There's a lot going on here, so I'm hearing a lot of different. The answers being, made very broad and stretched out.
J-Rat, what kind would you want?
If what?
Jeff, quiet. Let J-Rat talk. Anyways, the question being, Sir J-Rat, is we're starting from when they first go in to start doing the evictions in District 9, leading up to Vicus going into the hospital after he falls and faints on the cake.
Got you. Okay. A lot of stuff that you get in that time span, they don't really tell you. This is kind of ahead, but you see that there's these prawns. They're different. The gentleman is different, or that one's different from like the other ones. The other ones seem more like animalistic. Like they have intelligence, but they're just kind of like off. Like they're kind of not. I don't want to use the word dumb, but kind of dumb. Just primal. And this one's more like intelligent. And I think it explains later on that like there's basically like there's leaders and then there's followers of them. You know, there's some intelligent ones and then there's like the worker ones, and we see a lot of the worker ones throughout this process. The way they set up the location for it, I don't necessarily know that they were trying to do any like post-apocalyptic. I don't think there was any post-apocalyptic intention on there. I don't at all. It's just made to like it's just made to give you a different setting from like New York City, you know, places that you typically see, like you know, Independence Day, you know, the Washington D.C. stuff where those movies are made, you know, that are common in an alien movie, and this just gives you a different setting. Like it doesn't have to be America that aliens land in, or it doesn't have to be China or somewhere. So this is just like a, you know, Africa makes sense. It's the biggest continent, you know, and so it seems realistic along with everything that they've done with the film. Him getting into that setup, I think, was simultaneous. Them doing the eviction on the door for them when they were caught by surprise, because they had that container simultaneously when they knocked on the door. So I think them trying to hide it wasn't that they couldn't find a good place. I think they just didn't know what was going on or who was at the door. So the idea was like, oh, let's just put it behind in the, you know, put it in the drawer. You know, if someone's visiting you, or, you know, and you're in your office or your house and they knock on the door and you have something in your hand, you know, you're just probably just going to put it in your drawer, close it, come on in, and think nothing of it. So I think that's the type of scenario that was given to us. And that, you know, led up to them, you know, like not realizing that they're being evicted, and then they had to go in there and they were doing a search. So it was obvious for them to find just by going through cabinets and drawers and stuff like that. It's a very good lead up until, you know, he grabs that container. Why he messes with it, you know, is just plot. Because I mean, there is no reason for him to like look at it and not know what it is and put it close to his face. I would never put any type of container that has some type of liquid that I don't know of close to my face and press any type of button. But he did. Yeah, he did. And if it was the real world, he'd
be dead.
I just don't.
Sorry. The only time I will do that if I have the ooze from Ninja Turtles, then I'll put it on my face.
I didn't even want to look up right now, but like I know it was a fuel for the ship, and if I'm not mistaken, it had to be extracted, but at the same time it was DNA altering. So I don't know how it was fuel and also DNA altering at the same time, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm done.
Awesome, Jay. Right. Thank you, sir. Yes, that was fuel. They did have to extract it from other alien machinery. That's why they were looking for it earlier in the film. They're looking for pieces of alien tech out in that garbage heap to find more liquid to be able to use it for fuel to go back up to the ship. All right. Excellent, guys. Very, very good. Yeah, to re-mention the nails falling off sequence there, that was really done well. Very similar to in The Fly, the remake of The Fly in '86, with Jeff Goldblum as Seth Brundle. And they didn't go that far. They just had his nails fall off in this.
Yeah.
Whereas in The Fly, they have it, and he's like pus coming out of his fingers and stuff like that, which was interesting. But yeah, I definitely feel it's like almost the same thing, like transformation almost, you know, how Vicus is turning into an alien. The same thing was happening to, you know, Seth Brundle's character in The Fly, him, you know, basically turning from the inside out a fly. So I think that was very similar. Because even Blomkamp himself said that he took a lot of the horror that he used in it, body horror and stuff like that, was very much referenced from the '80s horror, like body film. So that would definitely be considered a body horror film because it's a Cronenberg film. So
yeah,
I just wanted to mention that too, because that was a very good point you made, Andreas. All right, so The prawns, which they're not prings. I don't know why my good friend is keep calling them prings, but
Pogs.
he's going okay USA. So because he's the great Jeff, hilarious Jeff, and so great job, guys. All right, so from there, after he gets to the hospital, the doctor starts taking a look at him. He's going to take a look at his bandaged hand. And as he cuts it away, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, when he opens the thing, all of a sudden there's an alien hand there. And, of course, Vickus is like, what the fuck? And stuff like that. He's like, what the hell? Where's my hand go? And the doctor looks at it, it's like, what the hell? And basically, he calls the military people to say, like, what, that this guy has an alien hand, and basically they need to get here because it's like something's going on here, contamination or something. And basically we see him get like restrained to the bed as they try to sedate him, and basically that's where it leads us through him being basically experimented on. And so the military sees it as a good way to figure out how to use the alien tech. Because only an alien can use their alien tech and fire their weapons and so forth and stuff like that. And so as we kind of find out through this section of the film, they've already been experimenting on humans, trying to make hybrids and stuff like that. And this is the first time they've seen somebody actually integrate with alien DNA that is still partially human, still partially alien. And so we get that great scene where he's basically tied down to this table there, and there's all kind of like the military people around. And of course his father-in-law is there. And, basically we have that great scene where they testing the hand to see if it'll work on the weapons. And he starts having he's like shooting like pigs and stuff like that. And he's like going, he doesn't want to do it, but he has to do it because they keep like kind of threatening him. And so eventually, they have him tested out on shooting an alien to it, and he doesn't want to do it, and he ends up having to shoot it anyways. But he uses I think there was like 3 or 4 different weapons they had him try, and after they have him stuck on that table, and they're basically saying, "Oh, we need to start harvesting him to find out, why this is working with him versus other people." And I think, of course, they don't know that he got sprayed with that liquid from the alien, liquid that they found, and that's what's causing this to happen. So that's why they would need to operate. And basically they give the okay, yeah, go ahead and do it. Hey, will he survive? If he does, oh well. And he's like freaking out. So basically he ends up being able to claw himself out of the table and to escape. And we have kind of that great kind of sequence there where he basically is able to escape and get away. And he starts, getting out of there. And so we see him and he stops and changes clothes and stuff like that. We see him eating a little bit of food. And basically he ends up deciding that the best place for him to hide is in District 9 with all the other aliens. And so he makes his way out there. And by the time he gets there, and we see him eating cat food. And we kind of see him kind of try to scrounge up clothes and stuff like that for him to wear and stuff like that. And eventually that's when he bumps into Christopher. And basically, him and Christopher, they don't see eye to eye because Vickus is, he doesn't really like the prawns, but at the same time, he doesn't want to hurt any of the prawns. But at the same time, because of what's happening to him, he's kind of a little more mad at the aliens too. And he kind of, takes out his frustrations kind of on Christopher a little bit and some of the questioning and stuff like that. And so basically after they kind of start kind of having a kingship, almost a friendship as they're talking, and, basically he tells him what the plan is, that he was trying to use that fuel that he stole to use it to put into that ship to be able to go back up. And so they have that conversation while they're inside the module there, the ship that he wants to use. And basically he ends up mentioning that there's a machine up on the ship that I could use to fix you. And he's like, did you say you could just fix me? Did you say you could fix me? And, the prawn keeps saying, yeah, there's the machine on the mothership that could fix you, that could reverse what's going on with you. And so from there on, basically him and Christopher kind of come up with a plan to help each other out, help him get away and help him be able to be, to be cured. So while that's happening, basically they're still having to interact and have to deal with MNU, because after he fled, they're still after him. And so basically, kind of leading up to, let's say, the final battle, we kind of lead up to that point where they're basically having to interact with all these other people in District 9, these other aliens, the kind of the gang members or that are there too as well. And basically they end up going there to get weapons and stuff like that. And they end up like making a trade. Then the kind of the bandit people, have another agenda and start trying to use him to be able to use that giant robot thing they have. And so, they basically end up having an all-out fight and start blowing up and killing people there and stuff like that. And we get kind of that really great action sequence there before we get to the final battle when MNU shows up. So before we go off past that, what are you guys' thoughts on that section of the film? Kind of the more of the transformation of Vickus into an alien, his befriending Christopher, finding out that there could be a cure for himself, and kind of the evolution that they, to come up with that plan, and then having to deal with those mercenaries or those gang members that are living in District 9, and kind of the outcome of that kind of excursion that happens there when they're trying to get weapons. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Let's start with you, J. Rent.
The the time that he started to go through like that transformation and just freaking out and having to blow up pigs, they would shock him until he would push the trigger once they figured out that the alien tech worked with him. Actually, I don't even remember how they figured that out. Oh, because they just saw his hand and they're like, I wonder if his hands would work with it, and that's when they figured that out. I don't necessarily know that he befriended that alien. I think it was like out of more selfishness, for him to have to team up with him, because it was all self-interest, like, well, I'll help you, you help me type thing. And, he wasn't really a nice guy to him at most part. I mean, he had to, at the end when he started like turning into it completely, he kind of had to, he realized that, he was going to have to be more friendly to them, and then the dad, his wife, very caring. They made his arc, like a sad story, but the whole movie was done of like an interview of the people about him, and it's like them talking about his they're talking about his story, and we get to see his story as they're talking about it. Like, oh, he was, a timid guy, and he didn't have a lot of friends, and so we get to see the story through their conversation about it. And they made it like a sad story, but overall that scene, the transformation when his nails start falling off and his hands visible, and just luck, and his part on their plot for him to come out and work that out was good timing. It was all done right, because it didn't seem like too overboard, like where it was like fake. It was believable that like he was able to escape in those certain ways, and where he came about up until then. It was very believable.
Agreed. Thank you, sir. Yeah. The prosthetic hand did an amazing job on it. It really looked like he had an alien hand going on there. So yeah, I think that was really well done. And just the transformation, I think, was done really well too, as well as time progressed. And I liked how they had, kind of the arc with the daughter and the wife and the father-in-law and stuff like that too. Him having conversations with her on the phone and stuff like that. I think that was really fun. And at the same time, you could tell there was kind of that kind of dramatic element to it too, as well. Having that kind of that loss of love and stuff like that too in it. So I think that was really well done. All right, Jeff. Same question, sir. What were your thoughts on that section of the film leading up to right after they have the skirmish with the gang people? You're muted, sir.
Not only was I muted, I was actually using my Nitro 5 mouse as in my mind. I thought I was using the mouse for the other laptop, right? That's some time lord dimension shit right there. But anyways, basically what it says here is that let's see, in terms of what the overall overarching historical themes are that he's trying to delve into and whatnot and portray through the film. It's the story which explores themes of humanity, xenophobia, and social segregation begins in Ultimate 1982, appearing over Johannesburg. And it basically, the title and premise of District 9 were inspired by the events in Cape Town's District 6 during the apartheid era, where they ran out of cat food. It was rough, but either way, basically, it's deep when God, I wish I could pronounce his fucking name, because it fucks me up every time I actually see the spelling of it and whatnot. It's hard for me to actually say it.
Victus?
Wickus.
No, it's Vicus.
Vicus.
The W is a V.
Vicus, like he's like, yo, I'm not killing that prom, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't do nothing to nobody, right? Like, like that's basic human humanity right there. Like J-Rent's right. He don't give a fuck about the prawns. You know what I'm saying? Whatnot. Like, he's over there with a documentary crew and shit and whatnot, trying to be a fucking star and like a celebrity and shit and whatnot, right? Until he gets sprayed with the fucking goo. You know what I'm saying? That changes his whole game up at that point, right? I mean, shit, if your hand changed into that shit, that would change your game up too, motherfucker. You'd be jerking off with fucking alien sex toys and shit and whatnot and fucking cat food. No, but seriously, did a great job with that hand, man. Holy fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as expressing the mutation of him from the fuel into a prey, the metamorphosis, that hand really, as a statement of that and whatnot, everything, it sells, man. Holy fuck. It's really alien looking on him, on a human being. It really looks good. They did a great job with that. And it weirds you the fuck out a little bit. It does. Because you go from fucking District 9 with the prings and shit and whatnot, everything, and you get used to that all of them looking the same. When you're around humans, and all of a sudden you have a human becoming a pring, it's a little disturbing. So basically, he's already scared. He's already in a really bad spot, man. It's got to be fucking you feel for him. That's the thing. Like I said, you evokes a lot. The story evokes a lot. I'm sure for every individual person, for J-Rent, for Andreas, for you, Cyber, everyone probably feels differently when they watch the film based off certain stuff and life experiences and who we are, right? J-Rent 2000 would never have a massive alien sex toy, right? Hanging out and shit, whatnot, to pull out on somebody's podcast and whatnot and shit. And be like, what's up? But I would have that, right? So at that point, I would probably see some shit differently than you, J-Rent, in a movie. You know what I'm saying? Few people would have that fucking thing. So, and certainly pull it out in public. But, so imagine what I see when I'm watching shit. But, since I wish I could see shit the way that dude did last night when that was 3 sheets. Holy fuck, man. He was seeing all kinds of shit. But, it's honestly, again, the film flows really well. It doesn't flow segmentally, even though the story is sort of compartmentalized into parts in a way. Probably you'd have to imagine, just like you outline a show. I'd imagine this is how you would write, a script to some extent, right? I would imagine I would do it in parts, in segments of some kind, maybe even into sub segments. Is how I would go about it. Probably being naive, having no idea. I would probably do it that way. I would imagine. The film. If I was doing an Avengers movie, I break it down into 4 segments, and then go under the segment and sort of just add mini segments. You know what I'm saying? Off that, and that would be how I would try to like lay out the story with the script and like the flow of the story. I would imagine. But they the fact that there's no use of names other than when Victus uses names, I name, right? You know what I'm saying, and whatnot. Or it's very rare. It really doesn't happen much in the film. There's a lot of things that just they'll fly past you if you don't really pay attention or notice them. But there's some small quirks in the storytelling and whatnot, everything, and the script and the writing that are very under the radar, and they help develop the vehicle, right? That Victus is as the core, you know, character of the story that you basically build off of. You know, it's everything flows well off and through him. Everyone, all the secondary characters, the corporation, right? You know, even though there's things that are really sad, right? And they're inhuman, the way that he's treated and whatnot, that lab and whatnot is wrong, right? Nothing is handled or written or delivered in a way where you're like hating the corporation, like fuck them. You know what I'm saying and whatnot? Like the movie just keeps on going. The pace just keeps on going and it keeps on flowing. There's no time to worry about that, right? You're just watching the film and you're entertained and you're hooked in. And Copley does that. He services that. Once he gets juiced up, you know, with the fuel, right? I mean, he does it from jump, but I mean, he just has this charisma, like I said, you know, throughout the film that I think is really through him. Like that, I think it's really that's who he is. I think that Blomkamp let him basically just mold his character around his personal character, and that's why he delivered so well in the film. And this is where he really catches fire, right? Is when he really has to fight, and that's what, you know, and that's where that's a big part of his arc. This is when his arc really kicks in, you know. And it's just it's a sci-fi arc. It's weird. It's not, you know, like other stuff we've reviewed or whatnot. But I love the alien guns and the alien tech. It's dope. Yeah, I love the sci-fi parts, right? I wish they would have done more. Like they would have given us more, like just I don't know, you know, details and whatnot. The aliens, the prawns, right? It would have been cool to know more about them, like their home planet or whatever, or their background, or what were they doing in space before they got like they crashed onto Earth? Like where were they going? Kind of, or something like that, maybe, or I don't know. You know, I would have liked that. That would have been cool, like fan service. But it's dope. I mean, Blomkamp does a great job, you know, having like an evil corporation type deal that you don't want to hate because it's just part of the story and it makes sense. It's logical. You know, I don't know if does this movie have a villain?
Yes, I mean
the
MNU.
Yeah,
and of course the gang are also like secondary antagonists.
yeah, no, I know, most definitely, you're right. No, it's a great part of the film. It really, that's when it starts to build. It's a slow build, it's a slow burn, but like that's when it starts to pick up. And it's subtle action, but it's good.
Awesome, thank you. Andres, same question, sir. Your thoughts on that section of the film, starting with, you know, him in the hospital, leading up to right after having the duel and fighting with that gang that was in District 9 selling the alien weapons and so forth.
Sure. Well, I really like what Jeremy mentions, how this movie is talking about Vix as a person. And that was something I did notice this time around. That was actually kind of cool because every documentary always focus on this like event, but it's always on a particular person that's connected to this event. So I really like that because, you know, because Vix is this like most important person now in history as we're we're gonna hear that in towards the end of the movie, and so I think that was a brilliant way to like keep the focus on our main character still, either with him or without him, where people can talk more about who he is as a person. Um, yeah, of course, I hate the father-in-law. The fact they take him out of the hospital and torture him. I didn't realize they torture him to use these different weapons they have, and that was really sick and very annoying. I mean, the guy who was like, was abducting these experiments was so cruel and evil. And I mean, the fact that you say like "fuck your wife," it's like, oh my god, it's really really into this experiment. Um, yeah, this time, rewatching this movie, I didn't realize they were actually doing hybrid human prawns. I didn't realize that until today, and especially because there was like a shot where you see a baby in a jar. It was so creepy. It was like, oh my god, it was like literally like kind of shocking that they went that far to do that. So it makes sense when they were talking about Fix and his condition. And I agree with everyone that the relationship to Christopher and Fix is like very like you know I do I'll do you a favor and you can do like I'll help you out. You can help me out with this situation. And the thing about Fix is that he has to learn that he has to accept that he is going to become like them. That's the whole point of the movie, and his life is going to change. And there's nothing else he can do about it. And so and where Christopher, I think his arc is like trying to be a good good father to his child, and then the reason he's doing this is trying to get out of the earth with his kid and be safe, because the whole planet doesn't like these aliens. And then of course when we get into the weapons, this gang leader leader is so bizarre. He wants to eat the protons arms or body part to become like them, right? And it's so disturbing and disgusting. I was so happy when he gets killed, but we'll get to that. That was so satisfying. But it was very funny, and of course, I was very happy that Vix, at least got the gun. And that was the moment he really became confident. That's another thing. He like throughout the film, he's very like timid and wimp. But later on, throughout the film, he starts to become more confident and like starts to fight back and fight for himself and Christopher as well. Because that was something we see in the beginning. He doesn't really fight for himself. He just gets pushed around. It's like a lot of people in life. So I really dug that scene where he gets the gun and tries to get the guns right away, and then okay, and that's the stop point, right, Cyber? Um, with the gang weapons
Yeah,
deal.
where they fight the gang and they get their first interaction with the robot suit.
Yeah, was that activated? That scene? I guess.
Yeah, he's it. Remember, they put him in it, and he activates it, and then he uses it to kill all of them.
Oh, I thought that was later when they capture him again, or because he grabs another gun. The machine thing was activated when the kid was activating the ship or something like that. I just saw this movie 2 hours ago. Now it's throwing me off. Anyway, great scene, great sequence. I'm excited to move on and talk about the great acting scenes of this film.
Excellent, thank you. All right, so Mr. J. Rand, how about a rating and anything you like to say before you have to go, sir?
Thank you, Cyber. Thank you. A rating for this movie would be a 10 out of 10 for me. Give it the highest I can. I love District 9. I like the way they did this story. It's something. It's different. It's different in a good way. I wish they would have done a sequel on it a long time ago. I can still wait for one if it's in the works. And I think I heard like numerous times that they would do a sequel for it, but I mean we've never actually seen anything come into fruition with that. So I love the movie. The more you go in that y'all talk about it, it gets better and better. And 10 out of 10. But thank you for having me on the show, guys. I appreciate it. Sorry I came in late and now I gotta leave early. It sounds like when I go to work.
No worries. No worries. It's great to see you again.
Yeah. We'll see you guys more. I am trying to get back into it.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, J-Rat. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to fuck up the camera. Sorry about that, man. I put a banner up and whatnot for Podcast Odyssey. Folks, please support and follow and check out A Podcast Odyssey where J-Rat hosts. Sorry, I pulled you out of sleep, man. You know what I'm saying? Whatnot. That's
no.
That's how.
Don't be sorry.
No. But you told me that you could only do an hour with that everything. I didn't even pay attention to time, so I'm sorry, J-Rat. I apologize.
You're good, guys. Y'all have a good rest of the night. We'll talk to y'all later.
Man. We really genuinely appreciate you, bro.
Take it easy, man.
All right, man. Best of the family.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
And best to you, Raymond and the Prings.
Yeah,
Am I still being heard?
Yeah, but you're frozen.
Yeah, I know. I'm frozen again, but
I'm telling you, man. It was the fucking Prings. The fucking Prings, man.
Why are you calling them Prings?
Because you know what I'm saying? Prawns is too unconscious bias or whatever, whatnot. It's too fucking like, it's too threatening to me. It makes me want to go to my safe space. It's dehumanizing.
I don't.
You white devil.
Okay, you Pringle.
So Pring is more politically correct.
He's trying to be cancel culture for aliens, basically.
If Disney was making this or not, they'd be the Prings.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah. All right, so Iceman over here is in frozen zone for a second, I guess. But you can still hear me, so that's good. Great job, guys. Everyone did a great job. Great shout out to the great Jay Rent. Glad to have you. Glad you were here. Shout out to Raymond in the comments over here talking about alien jizz beer. But I don't know why he wrote it as jazz beer, but I think he meant jizz. It's like something Elon Musk would have invented in the far future, which I agree with that, Raymond. I definitely agree with that, sir. That's a good idea there. I mean, he is from South Africa too, so I mean that makes a little sense. Maybe he was there in 1982 when this alien invasion was going on. I don't know. Maybe. All right. So let's see here. All right. So basically, the last part of the film, it basically is pretty simple. So after that climatic battle with that gang, that's when MNU shows up and is still after Vicus. And basically we go into that final third act here where, Vicus starts to use that robot machine and is battling MNU. And we have that one main kind of like... can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can stay here.
My screen just went blank, so that's why I was asking. But anyway, so that the one like main M&U guy there that we saw earlier in the film, and look, I froze. Cool.
Oh shit!
That's a miracle.
And well, it wasn't even letting me exit out of the thing, so I couldn't even like re-come back. It was like being funky. Oh, there I go. Jesus.
Oh man.
Oh, there we go. Anyways,
this reminds me of your iPad back in the day. Remember?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
getting the nostalgia.
I had to bring it back, sir. I had to bring back the nostalgia a little bit there. You
I'm
know?
way back a long time ago. Like at the 2 hour, what was the Cyber? The 2 hour mark.
I think it was around that. Yeah.
At the 2 hour mark, Cyber's iPad battery would die.
Uh-huh.
Right, but the show would just go, so we would always forget. And he'd just fall off. The big conversation or whatnot. We would never prepare for it, or like, it was always like unexpected and like right in the middle of something and like all that every time.
Every time. It was so hilarious. It was like it usually was too. Like I was in mid sentence or something too when it would happen too. So it's like, and Jeff would just go on like, yes, and so whatever he was trying to say.
That was when we literally had guests, I think, on every show. Like, literally, we're having new blood like almost every other week. Like, we had new guests coming on and whatnot, and everything, and like, that shit would just flow, like the film. So you just forget what the hell, you know what I mean? You wouldn't remember what time it was, or
No.
Yeah,
Some of us, we all don't traverse time like you do, Time Cop. Me and Cyber are very. We're not as talented and gifted as you.
Whoa. I don't know track time either, so we're the same boat here. If you believe that. If you guys believe that, because you believe something else in my dimension.
Let's see here. What is that guy's name there? The head.
Is Uncle Joe still alive in the year 2077?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Uncle Joey. Mr. President Biden, sir.
Oh,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Colonel Kubis. That's the main villain we're talking about.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. So he and Vicus kind of have like a showdown through the rest of this conclusion of the film, and they're battling it out, and they're fighting. Like he's using a helicopter, and Vicus is in the alien robot machine, which it totally made me think of the suits they used in Avatar a little bit. And they kind of made me think of like the robot from RoboCop, the first RoboCop film, that the one that they were using before they were trying to kill off RoboCop and stuff like that. Kind of made me think of that creature too. And him basically, we get this great battle sequence. He's using that machine, and as we see him in the suit, he kind of, as he's using the suit, you kind of see him kind of starting to even form more as an alien a little bit. You kind of see the progression going on, and his eye starts to turn into an alien eye and stuff like that. And they're just battling it out, trying to do it and stuff like that. And basically, we get to the point where Vicus, his machine gets destroyed, but he destroys the helicopter before anything else, and him and that general guy, our colonel, end up starting to basically fighting it out, like kind of like solo there at towards the end. And Vicus is like crawling, trying to get away, and he's coming after him with a gun. And that's when, out of nowhere, as he's like still in District 9, a whole bunch of aliens come out of nowhere and take the colonel down and rip him in pieces. And as we saw earlier in the film, we saw people that actually were eating parts of the alien to like heal their problems and stuff like that. And so I was feeling at this part, like even though the aliens would rip them apart, they were eating him, thinking that would ail their elements or something like that. So, I mean, that scene was so well constructed. I loved how they pulled them apart and stuff. That was like so cool looking. And so basically, he's laying there after they kill the colonel guy, and we see him. He's like, pretty much, halfway transferred, basically. His shirt has come off. We can see like all his body kind of on the right hand side has become alien and stuff like that, and stuff like that. And he's basically like, he's like, kind of we stopped them, kind of deal. And so after that, that's when we go to a few more interviews of people talking about Vicus and how, basically kind of what happened. We get kind of a short description of what's going on with District 9 and stuff like that, that basically were able to move all the prawns to District 10, that one of the fellows, friends of Vicus, who was, realizing that what they're saying about him was not true. He's being investigated and sent to trial. And basically that MNU has not been, basically, nobody's saying anything that they did, but basically given their kind of final comments on Vicus himself, like, nobody has seen him in a while. We don't know how he's doing. We kind of forgot about him and stuff like that. We get kind of a great little sequence there with the wife, and she has this metal flower that she has, and she's like, I keep finding these on my porch, and I think it's one of the aliens bringing it to me. I don't think it's from Vicus, but on my heart, I keep telling myself it is from Vicus, and how much I miss him and stuff like that. And then it changes screens and goes to an alien, and we see the alien creating a flower, and you can see what he's wearing, and you can see that this is Vicus, and basically the movie then is done. So, yeah,
Oh god.
It could have been made from that. It was metal.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the movie.
Special at that point. That would be really special, baby. There's nothing more romantic than a necklace made out of fucking cat food tits, man. That is inventive.
Yes, it is.
Oh my god.
Right?
All right. So the conclusion of the film. What are your guys' thoughts on the conclusion of the film? Let's start with you, Sir Jeff.
Just that it's great how how Blomkamp spreads out the story and the pace to where it does go into its sort of full tilt speed at the end, right? Like in such a slow way, it's such a slow burn way, and in a way where it's not like a final battle-ish sort of like, Thanos versus the Avengers type like deal. It's more of like, like I said, the action's sort of subtle, right? To where when basically Victus puts on that suit, that Gundam suit, it's more elevated. It's more powerful. It delivers more. That because of the setup before it, I believe the scene, right? If there was more, special effects, if there was more action, more blowing shit up, right? More alien guns and shit, whatnot, everything, more of that shit would have diluted the, I think the symmetry, right, of the cinematography and the storytelling across the film, and the pacing of the action, right, as sort of a final payoff. Yet at the same time, selling the story in a powerful way that's also very entertaining, yet emotional. Again, it's just it's powerful storytelling, right? And really, really well done film production and acting. The setting's great. Everything is shot really well, right? And again, on a $30 million budget, like I'm not saying that if I understand the way that film cameras work, being a billionaire isn't going to give you the ability to make like some kind of all-star Superman fucking movie, because you've got more money than like the dude that's got $30 million is going to be able to pull off with the way he shoots his films, right? It really boils down to what kind of lenses you use, right? The way you shoot, the distances, the elevations, the angles, right? And then your backgrounds, what you're working with. You know what I'm saying? The location, right? The backdrop. There's a lot there, but it's pretty simple. And the stuff that's more expensive is the smaller stuff. The digital effects is the stuff that costs money, right? That's expensive. But it's well shot. Again, Cyber, it's well planned. They did a great job in pre-production planning this film out, right? In a very contained way to where they deal. You tell me, Cyber, How do you deliver such a compact story in this kind of pace and keep it up the way the Blomkamp does, right, throughout the film, unless you don't pregame and like produce the shit out of it, right, to the T, to where you can go in and deliver when you shoot.
Well, think about it this way. This is based off of a short film he already did. So he already had a story already scoped out. He just expanded on it. So that goes back to your pre-gaming there, having a good story, why it's paced out so well, is because he already had the main focus of what he wanted to do. He just had to add the little touches to the beginning and, the middle to expand it so that he could give a full story from what he shot before.
See, now another director might have gone out of the way with that and blown it up. Right, and added too much, overlayered the film, right? Too much action. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's several elements that could have been overdone, right? I believe that honestly, the final act of the film itself, overall, the whole team, not just Blomkamp, everyone that that made the film, they did a great job. They did their jobs. They're very proficient, and they didn't invent the wheel, right? But at the same time, though, they delivered something that is really good. To where you could talk about this for a minute. You know what I'm saying? This is a very good film to review. It really is. For a sci-fi film, I love Event Horizon. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be fun to talk about. But this one is different, right? This is not Event Horizon vibes at all. That's more of like a horror vibe, right? This is deeper. You know what I'm saying? Like this kind of transcends and gets into like the human spirit. Right. It's almost undefinable in a way what this film elicits to you as an audience member. You know what I'm saying? Not right. Again, it's going to boil down to the individual. There is no monolithic or universal payoff with the final, segment of the film or the film itself. It's very individualistic, right? And again, it's expressed through the main vehicle, which of course is Victus.
Victus.
Copley. Honestly, as far as Copley goes, he rode off this film. He did. You know what I'm saying? He really, he ate well off of it. He should have, right? But honestly, I still, other than the A-Team stuff, I feel like he's potentially still not completely tapped. Like he still has untapped potential as an actor. He's very good. Maybe he's done some stuff I haven't seen in the last couple of years, whatever, where he's done some different stuff and shown some more range, right, on top of what he's already delivered. But he's very capable. He's very good. Films like Elysium those aren't good vehicles for him. Like District 9. It's not the same, you know what I mean? It's not, it's a great character. Right? Again, hats off to Blomkamp, right? For creating a great character, central figure. And it's, again, that's even subtle, isn't it? Andres, because when the film starts, you don't know that he's going to be the vehicle of the film. It suddenly drops on you, and that's what it becomes. That's what you get, right? You don't get a choice, and it's not something you sit and think about for a while. But either way, I'll stop there and do my rating and whatnot. But no, I can talk all day about it. It's well shot, well written, well acted. The secondary characters are great. They have no arcs, right? No names, but they're all good in the film. They deliver. They're good at their jobs. They act their characters, play their parts.
Excellent, sir. Thank you. It's nice to see the passion back in you, sir. It's great to see how much you are into this movie. So, props to you, sir. Before I go to you, Andres, I just want to mention that during the final fight sequence, fighting with MNU, Mr. Vickus taking them on helps to allow Christopher to get up in the ship and get away. Forgot to mention that. So he was kind of like causing a diversion for Christopher so that him and his son get into their pod with what fuel they had to get back up the ship. And we actually got to see the ship make its way off. which was really cool because even though we they're kind of like saying in that end preview too as well, we don't know if they'll come back and want to get revenge on us or whatever. But as you can see, they still left over 250 plus aliens on Earth, so I don't really think they're coming back. I think that they just wanted to get back to their home planet. So I don't foresee them that. But I wanted to re-mention that before I moved on because I totally forgot to talk about that for a second. But that was really a great section too, because that's why I was mentioning that Vicus kind of befriended Christopher a little bit because he ended up helping him get away. So that's kind of why I was saying that he was kind of befriending him. All right, Mr. Andres, your thoughts on the conclusion of the film, sir?
Well, first off, the before we go to the conclusion, them breaking into the MCU building, fantastic. Like a lot of gore and fantastic. Because we forgot to bring that up because Christopher see the experiments, and he was very shocked about that, and so that's when Vicus find the fluid, and then of course after they try to escape, they get captured, then the Gan Lord captured them, and this is where we get into the conclusion. His the mech suit. It's so awesome. I never expect to see a mech suit in a movie. Yeah, you're right. It's funny that this and Avatar had mech suits, and it's just kind of funny. I didn't realize that. That's funny. But yeah, it was fun to see. That mech suit killing that wheelchair gang lord, and his head just pop up like a balloon. Bam! I was like, like such a cool way to kill that awful villain. Yeah, I just love it. It was just so action packed. It reminds me of RoboCop. I mean, the robot you were talking about, Ed 209. It's called in the first RoboCop movie. Yeah, it's all that in this like very unique sci-fi film. And what I like about this, you're right. I did notice that his mutation started to accelerate while he was in the suit, and especially when they get captured by the MU before they get captured again by the Gans, his eyes started to be more alien eye, like the prunes. Yeah, I really like the sequence. This is where Victus became more selfless, and like he realized that because first we didn't mention that after they got the fluid, he finds out that it's gonna take 3 years to get back to fix him, and he got so pissed off, and so he knocks out Christopher, and he takes the ship, which is so stupid of him, and of course, and hurt his chances to like actually be properly cured, afterwards. And so I really appreciate that he kind of like learned his mistake and actually help out Christopher to escape with his son. So that was really neat. And just this whole action scene is so creative. I mean, the machine just literally shoots all this armory to like thread. I always love every time they used, what was it, like this electricity coming out from his arm, and it just popped the person and for distance. It's like so gory and fantastic. I just love that. It reminds me of like the Predators, like guns when they shoot the people, like they blast into them. It's literally like that. And yeah, and of course the Colonel's death is like very brutal. I really like that these savage aliens kill him because he was a bad motherfucker. Anyway, yeah, the ending, I really like the ending. I think it was really cool that one of his friends was trying to help out his friend, revealing the information that was all a lie. Yeah, in the film there was hints that like the beginning we find out that he Vix is able to, he likes to do crafts. So like I forgot that they did that early to pay off the ending. So that always gets me when we cut back to his wife, and he has this this flower thing that's made that is obviously Vix. Towards the end of the shot, this green prom, that's actually Vix, who's now fully prom, which is sad, but it's kind of cool that he's able to do crafts in the garbage. So, yeah, overall, great film. I love the inclusion. It's just so action packed. It just hooks you right there. You're in like you're. It's such an adrenaline. Like you're hoping that Christopher and Vix as well to survive. And it ends so well. So I'm excited to rate my rating for this film.
Excellent. Yeah. So 100%. This movie is fantastic. Really well done. I mean, lots of great action, great special effects. Just an amazing sci-fi movie that really works well. And I think that this would do really well if they did like a prequel miniseries that talked about how the aliens arrived to Earth in 1982. I think that would be a cool idea. And I mean, there's a lot of films that have come back or getting sequels that are 30 years in the making. So I mean, it's very possible that they could make a prequel or a sequel to this if they decide to. And I think that it's really, really a well done film that is just so amazing. Lots of great things to it, and the Monica Rambeau is definitely Charlotte Coppola in this. He was so freaking awesome. And I absolutely loved him in this film.
Well, how can you be the main character and the standout secondary character too in the same film?
Because he's turning into an alien.
Yeah. All right.
I think the Monica Rambeau Award recipient winner was the pring that Victus put it to in that romantic scene.
What?
No.
No.
So I give this a 10 out of 10. Amazing movie. A must see if you have not seen it. Highly recommend check it out. All right, Andres, what's your rating, sir?
Yeah. Anyway, Jeff, calm yourself. It's my turn.
Pringles.
Anyway, Pringles or whatever. It's my rating is the same as Cyber. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. After this great film.
Fucking Pringles.
Sir, calm yourself. We know it's Pringles. Everyone hates
Lord.
in this chat.
Time Lord, you motherfucker.
Time Lord. Oh, well. Anyway, you have very disturbing ideas of cat food and Pringles. Let's say that. Anyway, 10 out of 10. Great film. I agree with Cyber saying it's one of the best. I mean, overall, is a great sci-fi film of the 2010s. I mean, highly recommend it. I mean, it had such great screenplay by Neill Blomkamp and his wife. Writing it, and it's definitely well deserved for the Oscars they got in 2009. Remember, it's not my personal favorite sci-fi film, but it's really good. It's a great sci-fi film. It shows that what you could do in a very limited budget. I mean, 30 million. It's a lot, but it's not a lot. And the fact that they were able to pull off this kind of film and that budget, it's really impressive. We need more of these kind of films now. I mean, it's just kind of ridiculous. Like, look at this year. It's been awful with big over budget films. And, it's time to, like, wake up and actually, like, micromanage these budgets, again, just like the old times. So I highly recommend it. Sequel, I don't want any follow-ups to this film. I just think it's a good standalone project. I always hear about the sequel, but if you're going to do the sequel, I definitely want different people to take over this project. I think that I like Neill Blomkamp a lot, but he hasn't had the critical and commercial success like he had since this movie. It's been in and out. I mean, I like Elysium. It's a good movie. I haven't seen yet Chappie and his other two films, Demonic and Gran Turismo.
Chappie is awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, at least Hugh Jackman's dead, so
That's good.
And
Okay.
Hugh Jackman plays the bad guy.
Ooh, I know that. Hugh Jackman, great actor. But yeah,
And
great film. Highly recommend.
We're going to see him play. We're going to see him get to play. We're going to Wolverine in the yellow and blue suit. That's to be dope.
Yes, we all know that, and I'm excited too as well about that. It's a long time making.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, your rating, sir?
10 out of 10 without question. I don't see really how anybody could even really have a complaint about this film, to be honest with you. I mean, again, off the cuff. I mean, you know, I'm sure if you comb through it and shit and whatnot, you could probably find something. But like, right, like off the cuff, it's like you know how I talk about Bandmade. You know, of course, you know, nobody's perfect. No artist is perfect, but you know, a lot of the live stuff that I react to, whatnot, sometimes people and whatnot, everything, it's produced and it is like mixed and whatnot, everything. You know, it's not digitally, it's not, you know, that it's not raw live cyber like what we saw at Rockville. That sounded so different, right? It was totally different than anything that we'd seen in the videos, you know, in real life, right? With different amps and, you know, having to prep. Like I said, you know, preparation's important. You know, it is. And you know, Bandmade, my favorite band, Cyber and I saw them. And honestly, they sounded not all that good. They sounded kind of shitty because I don't think they were prepared to play at an open air festival. Right. So at that point, they were not balanced. Their sound was not balanced. And you couldn't hear certain elements or instruments or like, you know, the vocals as well as other parts. And that's something they're good at normally. Right. I only use that as a sort of a contrast to the film, just because, again, that tightness that you see in the videos that I use in the reaction videos, that's because of, you know, at least some degree of pre and post work, production or whatever, whatnot, you know, on other people's parts or whatever for Bandmade that helps them, you know, sound like that. Now, of course, we saw Evanescence. They had the right shit, right? They sounded great. All their instruments sounded good. The everything was balanced, right? You could hear all the instruments. They've been around for a minute, so I mean, they're pros. They probably knew what they were doing. They've got people under them that were prepared and whatnot for that kind of environment. You know, in the year 2077, of course, you know, the Prings are they have their own band. You know, that's on tour, right? Andres?
You know it. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Andres probably hung out with the Prigs at one point.
No, stop it there, please. No more.
No.
More
Hats off to Blomkamp.
Yeah.
Honestly, seriously, he I hope, you know, I'm sure, I know that he got a lot of accolades and whatnot off the film. Getting a Best Picture nomination is a big deal. Not winning is not winning, but like just getting a nomination on a $30 million budget. How many movies came out that year with a higher budget, right? That were garbage, probably.
Oh my god, yeah, 2009 not a good year for. I mean, like there were good films, but it wasn't the strongest. Yeah, and plus this is the, you know, speaking of just a brief trivia, but the fact that it got in for the first time the 9-10 picture Oscars, because 2008, you know, a lot of people, if you know this story, you know, because of what happened with Dark Knight being not nominated for the Best Picture of, you know, 2008, because at the time it was 5. In 2009, the Oscars, well, the Academy, you know, extended that. The fact that this movie got in was kind of like, is kind of shocking. It's like, it's one of those
from the sci-fi genre.
Yeah. I mean,
it really shocked me, Cyber. I did not know that.
Well, there's a few that has gotten, like Exception had a Best Picture, you know, I think 2010, I think, and you know, Avatar was nominated that year. So it's far in between. So. Yeah.
Yep. It had a year. It was a part of the one of the bigger years for super a lot of you know, big picture, best picture, you know, type of films that got nominated for Best Picture. Before that, usually it was only between like 4 and 5 usually got nominated, but for some reason 2009 it was like up to 7 or 8. And from there, I feel from there on, like from the early 2000s on, we've seen a lot bigger best picture frames. And it just happened to be one of those years where there was a lot of big hits that year. I mean, Avatar coming in right at the end of 2009 was a big hit. Hurt Locker was a huge hit. Up was a huge hit. I mean, there were so many hits in 2009 that had a lot of competition to go.
I hit the crack pipe a couple times too.
He did. That's right, folks. He hit the crack pipe in 2009. And, I mean, it was just one of those big years, that had a lot of big contenders. And so it's amazing that it even got put up against those other big picture films is what I think is the most amazing part about it. Just how well this film did. 90% rotten fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. And, it being a sci-fi film was the biggest kick about it, getting into the nomination, because a lot of sci-fi films do not get picked. Comedy films, action films usually don't get picked. So, I mean, getting picked and was a sci-fi film was really amazing. I think the first time a sci-fi film won would be Lord of the Rings when it won in 2003 for Return of the King. That was the first time a sci-fi action type of film won Best Picture. So that is, after 80 plus years of, the Academy Awards, it's amazing that we finally got something that won that was considered like a sci-fi fantasy type of deal. So it's nice to see that they're starting to put a lot more genres in, and comedy really needs to be put in the the Best Picture more, because there's so many comedy films that are kind of like dramedies or comedy films that have kind of a more of a dramatic approach to them, but they're still very comedy, are so well written and so well acted. They deserve to be in that Best Picture category. And just because it's comedy, I don't get why they don't consider that to be a great art, because it's very hard to get people to laugh. It's easy to get somebody to cry. It's easy to get somebody to be emotional, but to laugh is hard to do. So comedy to me is one of the hardest films that you can do, because it is very hard to get somebody to laugh. So them not putting that into that category sometimes I feel is just that's a loss to those great artists who have made so many great films over the years. I mean, I was really shocked when Annie Hall won back in the 70s. I really was, because that would be considered a comedy type of film. But because it was so dramatic is the reason why it got nominated. They didn't consider it really a comedy. They were saying it was more of a dramedy. So,
and there's a scene with a dude banging a prig. That takes balls, man.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that didn't have to be in the movie.
Yeah. Well,
that wasn't necessary.
Yeah. Sure. Triangles, whatever.
No, seriously, that's taking a chance for you to do something like that. It's funny.
In any hole.
You think they weren't laughing when they shot that shit?
Anyway, well, another thing we could bring up is this was a summer blockbuster. That's another thing that Oscars don't nominate. Like there's a few that they nominate early in the year. Like Get Out was nominated, and that came out in March or February. And the fact that it got nominated, that because it's been like a year, and you don't know how these Oscars remember these movies. So I was kind of surprised that District 9 did get in as a summer movie.
I think the title of our review of what do you call it? I'm tripping over here. Avatar 2 should be Get Out.
What? You don't like Avatar 2?
I think we should be paid to review it, personally.
Hey, Avatar 2 is better than the first one, I think. So.
I'm never watching it.
Really? Huh.
The trailers were enough for me. I think Avatar 2 can go hang out with Madam Web.
He would have to watch it in like 7 segments anyways, because of how long of a movie it is, being over 3 hours long. So his ADHD would not allow him to watch it.
I have to leave and go to the massage parlor for a while and come back.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, folks. So that is our District 9 review. What a great night, guys. We had a great panel. Fantastically done. So we'll do plugs and get out of here, people. So just a reminder, for next week for you guys, next Friday we'll be doing and reviewing Event Horizon, which is a Sam Neill, Lawrence Fishburne film that came out in the late 90s. So be on the lookout for that next Friday. This upcoming Wednesday, we'll be doing part 1 of the Infinity War film to conclude our Infinity Saga reviews. So we'll be doing part 1. I'll be moderating the first part, and Mr. Jeff will be moderating part 2 the following Wednesday.
We got a big week.
And then December 22nd is when the great What If season 2 starts. So that month will be an interesting month to do because we'll have to do those. But the most interesting part about What If coming out season 2 is that they're dropping it 9 consecutive days in a row. So from 22nd to the 31st, each day you'll be seeing a new What If episode. So probably more than likely what we'll do for you folks we'll be doing 2 episodes a week for you guys until we're done with the 18 episodes.
That's off to you on that, Cyber. I meant to let you know when we talked to everyone, not bullshit on the phone or whatever, but hats off to you on that because that was a great decision, a great move. And I never would have thought of that, to tell you the truth. I don't think I would have. So I'm really glad that you raised that and expressed that and whatnot, everything, right? Because it's a very logical way to handle it, whatnot, everything. And I think it'll be fun. It's like a good way to do it.
So we'll be doing those 9 episodes for you guys episodically and doing 2 on each stream until we're finished with them. So that'll be at about 5 or 4 reviews for you guys there too, from December to January. So you'll be on the lookout for some more Marvel from us. And then from there, we have to revigorate what we're going to be doing after that. So keep an eye out for that. But we'll get into plugs here.
Andrew's Pop Culture Guy. Andrew's Pop Culture Guy channel presents.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Time Cop.
Yes, Time Cop / Lord of Time, Time Lord. Hello, everyone. I'm here. Thank you for joining me and everyone here for the District 9 review. Love this movie. Love that we reviewed it. Up to 848 subscribers. I think it didn't change at all, so it's been kind of there, I think, for just 2 days. Just posted my Superman 3 and Adam's Family retrospective / review. Check that out. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a birthday tribute on another celebrity that I like. Sunday, I got 2 posts that you should watch out. One for Adam's Family Values 30th anniversary tribute. Check that out. And then me, Jeff, are back again to do a live stream on Sunday to do the first Adam's Family, directed by Barry Sonnenfeld in 1991. That's going to be exciting. And that also will have a retrospective review and tribute as well as the first film. So that's
Julia.
Yeah, exactly. And more Doctor Who content as well. So just watch out for that. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So thank you everyone for supporting me. Please help me and Cyber, hit our mark before the year ends, before 2024 comes around. So thank you everyone.
See, folks, because of being a time cop dimension too long, he's getting his years mixed up, having to travel back and forth,
Wait, I don't know. 2024 doesn't sound like a year for me.
It doesn't?
Nah, I don't know. 2022 sounds like a year. 2023 sounds like a year. 2024.
They are years.
2023 flew by, man, didn't it? And it slowed down almost. Cyber and I talked about that. It really, it has almost. It slowed down. It was flying.
I was thinking it started off really quickly the year, and then by summer it slowed down, and then all of a sudden by September it all of a sudden sped back up again.
Cyber, could you remember off cuff, off hat if you had to what we covered all year?
Kind of.
I couldn't.
Well, that's expected, sir. That's not.
Oh, I forgot. That's right. I've been a stoner since I was 14 years old. My bad.
That and other things, but anyways, so folks, if you enjoy me here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge, you can check out my solo content. You can find me under Cyberneticshark at YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Patreon, many places. And as you can see there, I'm at 710 still. Got my Marvels review up there. I will have my Thanksgiving review up soon, which was a fantastic film. If you have not seen it, go see it now. in theaters. Really well done. Did my mini review of it, so definitely check that out. I'll be having some more trailer reactions up for you guys. A lot of trailers have dropped recently.
Yeah.
There's a great Ryan Gosling film coming out next March called The Fall Guy. If you have not seen the trailer for that, definitely check it out. Looks freaking awesome.
Oh snap, Cyber! We got Andreas. We have our review of the Marvels on Monday night.
Oh yeah. I saw it last Tuesday. So. Oh boy, we'll see.
So yeah, if you enjoy me, let's help me get to that 1,000 mark, people. And of course, as always, keep your eyes out for a giveaway to help get us to that 1,000 mark. Me and Mr. Andreas, and we appreciate you guys. You guys are rocking it. And yeah, Monday, the Marvels will be doing a 1 hour review of it for the amazing MCU report for that Jeff usually and Andres does. I will be there on a Monday for once.
Oh man, Andres, we have to do some special shit. We gotta do some pregame prepping, man. Our first show is Cyber.
Why?
I'm gonna have to get my wig. Remember my purple wig?
Oh my god! Please don't do the wig.
No.
No, just let's say
He's got to get his back to tank back.
I'll wear a wig and I'll eat cat food.
Sure, why not? The viewers want you to see you eat.
Dude, I should seriously do a poll and see if people think I should eat cat food
or dog food.
Right.
You do that, sir.
I'd rather eat cat food than dog food. Cat food smells better than dog food. It does. Seriously.
Really?
Yeah, it does. Dog food, I don't like the way it smells. Cat food smells at least somewhat like edible. Dog food does not smell good.
Excuse me, sir. Have you tried eating them? How do you know the
Dog
specific?
food smells kind of like Nancy Pelosi's snatch. You know what I'm saying?
Old and decrepit. It hasn't been used a long time.
Like ice cream, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh.
Nope. I'm telling you. I'm surprised the fucking prigs haven't taken over fucking the country.
Why are you calling them that? They're prone. Now I cannot say their name because of you.
Prawns.
Prawns.
Can you imagine if the fucking press conference and fucking Uncle Joe was shaking hands with a prig?
I don't know what you say there. I don't know what you're talking about.
Bring the band in. Woo! Well, all right. Yeah, they want me to fit in, but I can't. I'm too different with it. Too advanced to think. You know my intuition. I got bars and ink, but never in a prison. Too far gone, never gonna sit and listen. This is optimism mixed with a bit